Hi, once again, you're welcome to this day 2 of our business idea creativity. Today we shall be talking about idea finding as well as blockage. No doubt about the fact, as I've earlier mentioned in the previous course, coming up with the idea, with the business creativity idea has to do with one being able to harness our creativity concept. And so now let's talk about the various idea blockage, that is creativity blockage, which has always hindered a lot of people from coming up with a unique idea or from harnessing a unique idea towards a logical conclusion. First, let's examine the idea, the innovative idea blockage. When it comes to idea blockage, there are various things that are responsible for idea blockage. The first of it has to do with sensory gating. There are instances in which sometimes we tend to prevent some certain thoughts from coming into our mind, and thus by default with sensory gating. And there are instances when some ideas might want to come in and we just block it out, we shut it out completely. And this is because perhaps some people don't like negative thoughts, and when those negative thoughts are coming in, they just shut it out and they block it. And over time, they've been accustomed to blocking negative thoughts, and before they realize it, they begin to block ideas that can easily contribute positively or help them in order to develop an innovative or a unique business idea. Aside sensory gating, we have strategic block. There are instances in which people, even though they have an idea that they know they can actually work on, but sometimes they block such idea strategically. Perhaps someone who is working on a project and realize there are some obstacles along the way, perhaps there are hindrances, there are some things he or she needs to learn, there are some things he or she needs to do, but because he couldn't actually do it at that very moment, then he puts an end to such idea, to the implementation of such idea. That could as well be referred to as strategic block. And you've seen instances in which some people felt, I don't have someone to actually put me through the implementations of this project, and perhaps I'm not really sure if that business or if that idea would fly, and as a result, we just cancel it or we choose not to implement it. Thus, invariably, strategically blocking unique idea or business idea. And we also have value block. Value block as well has to do with one blocking values, that is ideas that can easily create values to themselves and perhaps to the society as well as such, at large. There are instances in which you invite people to come and join you in setting up a business idea, and they just tell you, look, I've not been able to engage in it. And unknown to them that might as well be a starting point for them to innovate into other areas that will contribute meaningfully to their life. But at the moment they just thought, okay, this idea isn't going to generate money at the moment. And what's the point in implementing idea that I don't see the visibility in terms of generating money in the next 1 or 2 years. And not knowing fully well that sometimes these things could generate tremendous return for them, not only monetarily but in other areas as time goes by. So they choose to ignore such idea, and that's where value block comes in. And a good example has to do with Facebook. Facebook, when he was starting his business, when he was starting his online Facebook platform, he invited some of his friends to come and join him, but some declined because they don't see it as something trending at that point in time, and they couldn't see from his own perspective. And such by default, they subject themselves to value block. So that's where value block comes in. And there are people as well who have ideas, and they didn't implement the idea, and before you realize it, they subject themselves to strategic block. And there are some people you'd like, oh, maybe at a later time they see an idea working perfectly. They're like, oh, that idea actually comes to my mind sometimes ago. Years back, I thought about it, but I just shut it out completely. So So that's where sense-relating as well comes in. Then self-confidence block as well has to do with one being able to, one blocking business implementations because he or she felt the business, he doesn't have the self-confidence as well to implement the project, and all they felt, okay, there wouldn't be need for him or for her to proceed. You see, I'm a shy type. You see, I don't think I can talk to people about this business. I don't think I can coordinate people. I don't think I can do this, I can do that. And before you realize it, the block idea based on self-confidence blockage. Though in major instances, most of these blockage often comes from those, often are often peculiar to those who want to start idea basically. And as well, though there are some of it that in minor instances affect those who already have business running. But to those who actually have the finances, who actually wants to put out something there to contribute meaningfully to the society, to be able to employ people, to be able to engage people, in major instances, there are ideas coming in. But because of sense regating, because of strategic block, they don't have the right team, they don't know how to go about it, they have an idea, they don't know have the technical know-how, they don't know how best to go around the technical know-how, thus strategically they block ideas. And also we have self-confidence block. That one as well has a major role to play in instances where people can't actually boldly walk, take the bull by the hand with respect to their project. They can't actually see how best they can meet people, to talk to people, and they don't know how best to go around it. So self-confidence along with these other block, innovative idea blocking, I've actually crippled a lot of business idea and business concept generally in every areas of life. So when you're trying to come up with a unique business idea, you want to as well see how best you pay attention to your sensory receptors as well as the sensory informations as well as strategic blockage as well as value blocking and self-confidence block to be sure that you are not prone to any of these blockage. As soon as you're able to come up with a unique business idea, it is important to take oneself through, to have a little bit of self-confrontation and take oneself through innovative finding procedures. And innovative finding procedures entails asking fundamental questions with respect to problem, to first, to these 6 questions, in these 6 areas. First, you want to ask yourself, what problem am I actually trying to solve? Is there a problem actually in this regard? Or is there a need in this regard? If there is no problem, but there is a need, then you actually want to ask yourself, what are the needs? And as soon as you're able to find the needs, there is the problem that deserves to be solved, people's needs that deserves to be met, you want to take a step further to do a fact-finding. That involves asking people as well about this, because now you've seen it to be a need and you've seen it to be a problem. But you want to ensure that you substantiate what you've actually had, what you've observed and what you've seen. Then you want to ask people, the real facts. What do you see about this? Do you think it's a problem? Do you think it's a need? And do you think it's something that would as well help in contributing? Just seek people's opinions and get feedback to be able to ensure that you have the right facts and as well be able to utilize it in making further objectives. That is, you want to as well analyze the facts in relation to what you already have. And that's where objective findings comes in. You want to analyze, tailor down this problem, the challenges, and people's perceptions about it, and come up with an objective as to how best to go around it. Then you have idea findings. Now you've realized there's a need, you've realized there's a problem, and you've realized based on fact that really this problem deserves to be met, this objective deserves, this problem deserves to be met, this need deserves to be met. Then you want to go further and take and work on the idea findings. That is, what are the various approach towards solving this problem? That's where ideas comes in. Then you realize in major businesses there could be multiple scenarios of ideas coming into mind. And when you examine those various ideas, you'll be able to like, okay, how best can you go about it? And don't be surprised that when you're doing your objective findings, you're going to put into considerations things that are entailed towards solving that problem. That is the technical aspect of it, the technical aspect of solution, and as well the business aspect. Then you want to go further and examine the idea. Let's assume you have multiple scenarios to which you can solve these problems. Using both the technical, multiple scenarios of technical, as well as multiple scenarios of business implementation. You want to take a step further and do that of idea findings. That is, which idea will be the most suitable idea to implement. Let's take, for instance, as I've earlier mentioned in the last days of, the first day of the tutorial, I want to come up with an online platform. I could come up with multiple scenarios of models that could thrive within the industry space. Then I could ask myself, which of these models do I want to use? And I could, like, okay, which of these ideas would actually thrive? And that's where the idea findings comes in. You come up with multiple ideas, and let's say I have 3 ideas, and I've been able to come up with 3 ideas. Then you take a step further and say, okay, the solution findings. That has to do with which of these ideas will solve people's needs the most. It will be much more beneficial to the populace, will contribute much more to the society positively. And before you realize it, you're coming up with a solution finding that will help in as well solving problem and contributing to a unique solution or to a unique value within your society. And before you realize it, you're coming up with a unique concept, a unique business idea that will as well thrive over a long period of time. And lastly, you want to take yourself through the acceptance finding. That has to do with towards the implementations of the project as well. You want to like create awareness and as well get people's feedback so as to as well modify your solutions in a way that will be tailored towards people's needs and ensure that you put smiles on people's face and as well you have remunerations coming into your pulse and you smiling be as well as smiling. And as soon as you come up with unique business idea, that is, you've been able to find an innovative concept, innovative idea, you want to take a step further to examine business solution procedure. And this as well has a major role to play when it comes to implementing ideas. I've come to realize that over the period of time, there are so many businesses that has their ideas, in which their ideas actually swallows them up with the business piece, and before you realize it, they couldn't really try. And don't be surprised that even today, the majority of entrepreneurs are actually surviving. They're not really thriving. It's only the innovative entrepreneurs that are actually thriving. And that's why in one of our courses, which we'll talk about in the upcoming days, it's going to be focusing much more on innovative entrepreneurship and how you can take your entrepreneur from the basic, the conventional entrepreneurship to that of innovative entrepreneur. And now there are a lot of things that actually contribute to entrepreneurship stagnations, or more like, how should I put it, that contributes to entrepreneurs not being able to thrive. In details, we're going to talk about it in another call, but for the concept of your unique business idea, no doubt about the fact that if you have unique business idea, and if some other things are not rightly in place, you would realize that you might have a business idea or you might not be able to thrive, and that would not be so good. Because when you come up with a unique business idea, you should be able to come up with other ingredients that would as well in making this unique business to thrive. But in instances where those things are lacking, you realize that the business will not be able to thrive. So first, when it comes to the business solution procedure, now you've got solutions, now you want to implement. First, you want to engage in planning. You want to plan the business model. You want to have plans towards both the short term as well as the long term. There are instances in which people operate business without having long-term view. That is, they don't have, there is no long-term goals for those business. In as much as the money is coming into the pocket, I mean, all is okay. So they don't anticipate, they don't have any plan for the future, most especially asking themselves if those business will be able to thrive in the next 10 years, if the business will still be able to survive in the next 15, 20 years. So it is important for you to have plans. What are your short-term plans? And what are your long-term plans? And aside that, you want to organize. You want to organize your team. And no doubt about the fact that team has a major role to play when it comes to setting up a business idea. You could have the finances, you could have the business idea, but when the team isn't the right team, then the whole thing would actually get crippled or would actually not be able to thrive. That is, you talk of idea plus the team plus finance equal business success. Equal business success. But in instances where you have a great idea, but you don't have the right team, then no doubt about the fact that the business would not be able to survive, would not be able to record success on a larger scale, or even, I mean, the business would barely survive. So you want to give attention to organizing your team and ensure that you're bringing in the right team, teams that are supportive, and teams that can actually think out of the box, teams that actually can contribute meaningfully, can contribute positively to the progress of your business growth. Another thing is culture. Culture has a major role to play in many organizations. And that's why if you take a look at organizations that are actually thriving and those organizations that are not thriving, you realize that culture has a major role to play. And there are cultures that are kind of goal-oriented, I mean performance-oriented. And there are organizations that have a culture of that are more like rule-oriented. And there are some other cultures in which they don't give a damn about who their team members are. That is, those who work within the company at large. But in performance-oriented, you realize everyone in the organization matters. Everyone within the company matters because they're contributing to the success of that organization. But in organizations where the culture only gives rooms for people who are at the top, it is when you are at the top, you're someone, when someone is perhaps a gates man or is the security of that company, the person is relegated to minimum. You realize those organizations where they thrive. But organizations that's kind of inclusive, that is, that sees everyone within the organization as a major player to the success of the organization, you realize they thrive. So you want to get yourself familiarized with the best culture that will as well be able to enable your organization or your company to succeed. Also, you want to take notes of things that needed to be controlled. There are some things that needed to be controlled, and if you subject those things to randomness, you realize that it's going to affect your business, and what you want to control is your product or whatever it is you're offering. You want to control it tailored in a way that will be tailored towards meeting the needs of customers or the needs of the end users. Now you're focusing more on those who are utilizing it. You don't want to focus solely on yourself, or perhaps, okay, my product is good, irrespective of what the customer sees. Well, now you want to take a step further and ask the customer, see how best you get to the roots of those who are using your product. Those who are using your product, get feedback from them, utilize it to control the output of your product. And that's where designing perhaps there's need for you to redesign your product, or perhaps if there is need for you to redesign the processes of your product, you have to go ahead and do that. But in situations where one subjects controlling to randomly, that is, you just launch a product and as a product you should not control it. That is, you don't get customers' feedback to optimize the product, or you don't get customers' feedback to see areas where you need to make amendment, or where what you need to do before you realize it, competitors might just strike in and take you off the market space, and before you realize it, you lose your customers to competitors. So that's why controlling has a major role to play. Culture has a major role to play because it deals with the internal aspect, and organizing as well has a major role to play as well because it's kind of internal. You want to ensure you have the right team, and you want to plan. You want to have a short-term plan as well as a long-term plan for your business model, and ensure that you have the clear visions towards which you're working towards, and your organization or your team members as well are aware of all these visions, and collectively all of you are working towards the same aim, and you have these all clearly in mind. So no doubt about the fact that idea finding as well as idea blockage are things that worthy of consideration when it comes to implementing business ideas. And the more you put these things into consideration, the more you realize you're projecting yourself in the path of sustainable business implementation wherever industry chooses to find itself. So thank you so much. This comes to the conclusion of day 2 of our business idea creativity concept. I hope you find it so interesting. Then we'll continue as well with the third day program. Thank you so much. Hope to see you in the next as well as the concluding video. Thank you.